And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got our 10 best bets for college basketball here on Saturday, January 18th. And yesterday, man, I mean, you know, 5-0 day. I was gonna say 10-0, hopefully 10-0 day today, but 5-0 day yesterday. Come on now, big day. Everything cashes, and it was kind of an easy sweep too, if we're being honest. I didn't anticipate it to be this easy, but Akron goes out there and completely blows out Ohio. It wasn't even a competition over there in the Mid-American Conference. We get a big winner on the road. VCU did have to play somewhat of a tough game at St. Joe's, but they end up winning. They pull away in the end. Indiana, we got 7.5 points. We didn't need the points. Indiana won outright in Columbus. Again, a game that we said, if that team respects Mike Woodson and that Indiana Hoosiers team cares a little bit all about Mike Woodson, they're going to try to win that game for him. And what happened? They did. Okay, so Woodson's staying, whatever, and we cash on the bet as well. And the late night spots, both in the Mountain West. Fresno State pure domination against the Air Force Falcons, and the same thing that can be said about the New Mexico Lobos, a bounce back spot after their loss in San Jose against the San Jose State Spartans. They blow out Boise State. So two big winners to end the night, two blowout winners to end the night, with both New Mexico and San Jose State and Fresno State, putting us at 5-0 on the day. So a huge day yesterday. We're looking for a lot more success today, and of course, because we hit the 100 likes yesterday, we're going to do 10 best bets for college basketball here today. And folks, before we get into it, it just helps out the channel a lot if you hit that subscribe button down below and make sure to leave a like. Later today, in a couple hours, we'll have our NBA predictions out on the channel as well. 6 games today in the National Basketball Association. Our NFL predictions are on the channel as well. That is linked in the description down below. Obviously, 2 playoff games today: Chiefs, Texans, Commanders, Lions. Also, our UFC 311 predictions are on the channel as well. Now, the main event has changed. It is now Islam Makhachev versus Renato Moicano. My prediction for that fight, since it's not in the video because Arman Tsarukyan pulled out, I'll be honest, I want Moicano to win. It's not going to happen. Islam's going to dominate the fight, and he will win by ground and pound very early in the fight against Moicano, if we're just being honest. Okay, now let's get on to the 10 best bets today for college basketball. So lock in, we've got a lot. We're starting in the Southeastern Conference for the number 4 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide and the number 8 ranked Kentucky Wildcats. We like the Wildcats at home. So if you remember, a couple weeks ago, a spot kind of similar to this, if we're being honest with ourselves. Again, not as good of a team. Well, actually, Florida's ranked 6 at the time. Alabama's ranked 4 now. Anyways, early morning game, Florida goes into Kentucky, and the Wildcats get it done 106 to 100. Since then, the Wildcats went to Georgia and lost. They went to Mississippi State and beat the Bulldogs, and they beat Texas A&M just a couple days ago, 81 to 69. Kentucky now hosts the 4th-ranked team in the country, and that, of course, is the Alabama Crimson Tide, who is coming off a pretty bad loss in their last game to Ole Miss. Prior to that, Bama was 3-0 in SEC play, wins over Oklahoma at home, South Carolina on the road, and then A&M on the road as well. But again, that Ole Miss loss wasn't that great for Bama, if we're being honest. But this is a team, again, led by Mark Sears and Grant Nelson. Sears averaging 19 points a game, Nelson averaging 12. I think it's a rough spot for Bama, if we're being honest with ourselves here. We get Kentucky at -1.5 in this spot, -125 in the money line. Yeah, I'm going to take Kentucky. They've lost 3 games all year long. Early in the year, rough spot on the road at Clemson. The Ohio State victory does stick out like a sore thumb. It's ridiculous. I don't know how they lost that basketball game, considering the way Ohio State's been playing. Again, the loss yesterday against IU, the losses mounting prior to that in the Big Ten. Hell, the very competitive game against Minnesota. It is what it is. Kentucky, that's the one outlier in the losses. Going on the road to Georgia, it's not that bad of a loss, and we'll talk about the Bulldogs later in the video. But again, Kentucky led by Otega Owe, who's averaging 15.5. Jackson Robinson averaging 13 points a game as well, and Lamont Butler, who's averaging 13.5 as well. I think Kentucky's got the squad to beat Alabama, and of course, I think this game is in the perfect location, obviously, being in the Rupp Arena, Rupp Center in Lexington, Kentucky. Perfect opportunity here for the Wildcats. Bama's coming off a loss at home to Ole Miss. It was a home loss for the Crimson Tide, where they lost by 10 points. I mean, it was just an off night for everyone in this Alabama team. Hell, you look at the stat line Mark Sears puts up: 39 minutes, 11 points. He goes 2 for 8 from the field. It was just a bad night for Sears. But now again, Bama's got to take that into a road spot against Kentucky, against a Kentucky team where you know the crowd's going to show up. They're ranked 8th in the country. It is a very difficult spot. Again, this is the same Kentucky team this year that rises to the occasion in big games. Again, we can forget about the Ohio State game, but in big games, Kentucky beating Duke, beating Gonzaga, beating Louisville, beating Florida, Mississippi State on the road, A&M. This team beats ranked basketball teams. They have not lost to a ranked team all year long. They are 5-0, against ranked teams this season, again with Duke, with Gonzaga, with Florida, Mississippi State, and Texas A&M. Kentucky does not lose ranked basketball games, and I think they get it done here. I think they have the better team. Again, in a neutral site, and if the game was in Tuscaloosa, prediction might be a little bit different. But with the game being in Lexington, again, home court advantage really matters in games like this. Conference play, SEC play, to very good basketball teams, to ranked teams. Again, Kentucky at 8, Bama at 4. It's going to be a competitive game, don't get me wrong, but I think it's kind of similar to that Kentucky-Florida game a couple weeks ago on a weekend. High-scoring affair, but I think Kentucky does get the better of Bama here. Give me the Kentucky Wildcats at home to win this game against the Alabama Crimson Tide. We get -1.5. We get -125 as well. Give me Kentucky at home against Bama. We'll see again how Mark Sears responds after that last performance against Ole Miss, because again, prior to that, Oklahoma game, 22 points. South Carolina game, 22 points. A&M victory, 27 points. Again, all of those games were wins for Bama. We'll see if Sears can bounce back, but I do like Owe and this Kentucky team at home. Again, 4 versus 8. Give me the home team. We like the Kentucky Wildcats to take care of business against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's move on to our next game, and we stay in the Southeastern Conference. Again, we mentioned Georgia a little bit ago, and here they are. We've got the Auburn Tigers on the road against the Georgia Bulldogs. Guys, if Auburn's last game at home against Mississippi State said anything, is that this team, even without their best player, can still go and win basketball games and blow teams out. And it doesn't matter who they're playing. That's how good Auburn is this season. Now, John Broom's still out with an injury for this game, but that's fine. Again, obviously Auburn is the best team in the country, and they're great with Broom in the lineup. But even without Broom playing, Auburn beats Mississippi State by 22 points, and I'm not going to go at you guys in the comments, but hey, just saying, a lot of y'all like Mississippi State in that game. I'm just saying, Auburn proved people wrong in that game, and they ended up getting the job done. Chad Baker-Mazara, 20 points in that game. Denver Jones with 13. Miles Kelly with 13. Chaney Johnson with 17. Pettiford with 12 off the bench. That's the all-around team effort that Auburn needs to put in to win basketball games and blow teams out with their best player out the lineup. And it did help that Josh Hubbard had a very poor game again, and we're going to talk about Mississippi State later in the game. Yes, Hubbard scores 17 points, but he goes 2 for 10 from beyond the arc, 2 for 12 from the field in that game, and 11 for 12 from the free throw line. So again, that's why Hubbard had those points. Again, you can look at just the point line for Hubbard. Oh, he scored 17. You watch that game. Josh Hubbard played a horrible basketball game, and that's a big determining factor on if Mississippi State's going to win basketball games or not. It's their sophomore, Josh Hubbard. But regardless, what Auburn showed in that game is that they can beat anybody. It's just that simple. And they go now to Athens, Georgia, and I think they're going to beat Georgia. Georgia's coming off a huge loss where they went on the road to Knoxville and got dominated by Tennessee. They lost the game 74 to 56. They lost the game by 18 points, and I get it again. That's on the road at Rocky Top. It is what it is. Tennessee's very good at home. On the road, I think they're extremely beatable, even though, yes, they've only lost once this season. But I think, again, Tennessee, once they get down the stretch this year in SEC play, when they go on the road, they're going to have very difficult games. Hell, I think they're in for a challenge today against Vanderbilt. That's not one of the 10 best bets for today's video, because I could see that one going either way. But I mean, hell, there's a big game a week from today on the 25th. Tennessee goes to Auburn. I'd expect Auburn to be getting 6.5 points in that basketball game, and ultimately, I think they cover it as well. Again, we've seen Tennessee go on the road this year and just struggle. Illinois game they almost lost to Florida by 30 points. They put up 43. They went to Texas. Texas almost beat them in Austin. So again, going to Tennessee is a way different than having Tennessee come to your place. But yes, Georgia lost by 18 at Tennessee. They went to Ole Miss, lost 63-51. And I'll give them credit. Again, the Bulldogs have been good at home this season, especially in the SEC, right? A big victory over Kentucky, a win over Oklahoma. Even earlier on the season, I believe they hosted St. John's, won that basketball game. Georgia's a much better team at home, but you know what? They're playing by far the best team in college basketball. Again, it is not close. Even with John Broome not playing, Auburn's still that good. Again, it's the collective team effort, and it's a guy in Chad Baker-Mazara who has stepped up, and obviously stepped up in the Mississippi State game, and I would expect him to continue to step up for this Auburn team going on the road to Georgia. I don't know when Broome's going to be back. I think potentially in the next couple games, maybe even by the Tennessee game, but that doesn't matter for this game. We're going to see Chad Baker-Mazara. You'll get Tahad Pettiford, who's coming off the bench, but still puts in big minutes for this basketball team and scores a bunch of points. Again, Denver Jones, Chaney Johnson, Miles Kelly. These guys are going to show up for Auburn. Again, playing without their best player, it elevates the rest of the team because there's a void to fill, obviously, now. And I just don't think Georgia's on the same level, led by Asa Newell, who's averaging 15 points a game, Dakota Lefu, who's averaging 12. I just don't think Georgia's at the same level as Auburn. Auburn's by far the best team in college basketball this season, and there's not even a debate around it. I mean, again, Auburn's won. Iowa State, I guess, is the second best team in the country. I feel pretty good about that, especially with their victory against Kansas the other night. And then from there, who knows? I don't mind putting Florida at 3, if I'm being honest. Yes, I would put Florida over Duke right now. And then from there, I don't know where to go. To me, the top 3 is Auburn, Iowa State, Florida. From there, I guess you put Duke. Bama, obviously, when the new rankings come out, is not going to stay in the top 5, but we'll see. Okay, that's how I have it for now. In this game, though, we like Auburn to go to Georgia and win the basketball game. This team is just that good, and imagine how much better they get when Broome comes back in the lineup. Again, it's hard to call a winner right now of the national championship right now in January, but it really feels like it's going to be difficult for anyone to unseat Auburn this season. Their only loss is when they went on the road to Duke. Their only loss all year long. They are a difficult team. Obviously, they have a gauntlet in the SEC this season, but they've passed it with flying colors so far. I like Auburn to continue their dominance. They will go to Georgia, and they will cover this spread. It's 5.5 points. I feel confident that Auburn's going to be able to get it done even without Broome in the lineup. Give me the best team in college basketball, the Auburn Tigers, on the road at Athens, Georgia. Let's move on to our third best bet of the video. Let's move to the Big 12 as we have the Cincinnati Bearcats at home taking on the Arizona State Sun Devils. I like Arizona State as plus 9.5 dogs. I think they have capabilities of winning this basketball game, but for that, sure, we'll side with the minus 550 favorites in the Cincinnati Bearcats. One game does not dictate Cincinnati's season, guys. The Bearcats win one game on the road at Colorado. Of course, CMOS finally breaks out. I said it too before we picked that Colorado game. That was a game that unfortunately we didn't get right that day. But I said it. I was like, oh, this is, of course, CMOS has been playing like crap, hasn't scored more than 10 points in over 5 games. And obviously, this is going to be the one where he finally breaks out and hits some big time threes. And that's exactly what happened. Okay, guys, we can't forget Cincinnati lost 4 in a row in the Big 12 prior to that. And I get it. Arizona State's 1-4 as well. I get it. We'll get to Arizona State in a second, but I'll tell you why I think Arizona State can go to Cincinnati, Ohio and cover this line. Okay, Cincinnati lost 4 straight games prior to this. Arizona came to town, and I get it. The Wildcats are better than the Sun Devils this year, but the Wildcats came to town, beat them by 5. Kansas State, they go on the road, lose by 3. They go to Baylor, lose by 20 points. Kansas comes into town, beats them 54-40. Cincinnati struggles to score. They just do. And again, if CMOS is shooting better like he was in that game against Colorado, then all right. It's steps in the right direction for the Bearcats. But as a whole, this team still kind of struggles to score. Dan Skillings, obviously, is another guy who they can kind of rely on sometimes. But as a whole, I don't love the Bearcats. And I think this line's just too much, personally. Okay? I think this should be more at 6.5. That's where I'd put this line. I think 9.5, okay, we're getting too many here. And obviously, we're going to take it. Arizona State coming off a home loss in their last game against the UCF Knights. Okay, that was god-awful horrible. It was absolutely disgusting out of Arizona State. I'm not going to lie. They let Keyshawn Hall score 40 points in that basketball game. It can't happen, all right? It just can't. And that was a game where Keyshawn Hall was dealing with foul trouble most of the game. I mean, referees had a happy whistle that entire game, and sure, it did end up costing Arizona State as well. Quaintance, obviously, their 17-year-old freshman, fouled out in that basketball game, and again, I'll get to Jaden Quaintance in a second. He is an absolute monster for Arizona State, a guy in 2 years who's going to be, I assume, a top 10 pick in the NBA draft. He's not eligible to be drafted this year, so he will go out after his sophomore season at Arizona State, assuming he stays in Tempe. But who knows? Quaintance is a guy next year who, let's just be honest, he can play anywhere in the country if he wants to. We'll see if he remains loyal to the Sun Devils or he takes his talent to the SEC. I think he should just stay at Arizona State, go get your bag there, and continue to dominate the Big 12. Again, Arizona State's not really winning games right now, but Quaintance is that good. He just is. BJ Freeman, not a bad player as well, dropped 26 points in that UCF loss. Again, Arizona State can't really guard anybody. That's fair. But here's the thing, guys. Cincinnati struggles to score. So something's got to give here, right? And this is my thing. I know Arizona State can score. I know they can. They just can't stop anybody on the other side of the ball, which is fine, because then it does put the pressure on Cincinnati, if we're being honest. A Cincinnati team that has been ice cold prior to the Colorado game. And sure, again, they go to Boulder, they end up scoring, 68 points, but CMOS finally gets it going, and sure, again, Cincinnati hits some big shots and they win the basketball game. That's fine. The pressure's on that you have to do this back-to-back games against an Arizona State team that's going to come to your place, and they're going to score. They're going to, right? I mean, Quaintance is going to lock down, obviously, everything down low. He had a big game against UCF. Maybe I'm hyping up Quaintance just a little bit, a little bit more than I should right now because he looked really good in the UCF game, but I think Quaintance is going to be a big-time player, honestly. I think next year, again, Quaintance is going to be one of the best bigs in all of college basketball. BJ Freeman can score, and he can score at will. I think Arizona State's going to really put the pressure on Cincinnati. Again, who's going to win the game? Again, it's similar to what I said a couple days ago about the game. Oh, God, I'm blanking on which game this was. About Temple and Memphis, and yesterday with Indiana and Ohio State. Sure, again, we took big underdogs in those games, and we took them to cover. Didn't care who won the game, and obviously both of them did, and both the Owls and the Hoosiers. And I'm not saying the Sun Devils go straight into Cincinnati and win this basketball game, but I do think this game is a lot closer than at least Vegas expects. I really think so. I know Arizona State can score. And again, for Cincinnati to cover the 9.5, everything kind of just has to go the Bearcats' way. It just does. They have to. We have to see a 2024 type Cincinnati performance, which personally, I just don't think we get in this game. Sure, again, Arizona State gives up a lot of points, but at the same time, they're going to score too. So again, my whole argument around this is the pressure's all on the Bearcats. Can they score, and can they keep up? I know the game's in Cincinnati, but I think Arizona State legitimately has a chance to win, but ultimately, we don't care about the winner. We like the spread, plus 9.5. Give me the Arizona State Sun Devils to go on the road to Cincinnati and cover the line here against the Bearcats. They are both still 1-4 in the Big 12. It's not like Cincinnati's some powerhouse. They have not been playing like it all year long. Give me ASU on the road to beat Cincinnati. We like the Harvard of the West Coast. Okay. Next up, we go on to the Conference USA. We don't really talk about the CUSA much. I'll just be honest with you. Off the top of my head, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I couldn't tell you what days during the week the CUSA plays. I just couldn't. It's Thursdays. Wonder why. Everyone plays on Thursdays. So the CUSA person, honestly, guys, it just gets buried. It just gets buried for me. Again, yesterday we have spots in the MAC. We have spots, obviously, in the Mountain West. If you play on Thursday, the SEC plays on Thursday. The Big Ten plays on Thursday. And that's honestly why we don't really talk about CUSA basketball much. And obviously they play on Saturdays as well, but there's so many games to pick from on Saturday. But shout out to the CUSA. They're going to get a mention tonight, and it takes with their worst team, I think, in the FIU Panthers, taking on one of their better teams in the UTEP Miners. And guys, we like the Miners. Okay, the El Paso no, not the Miners. Why did I meant to like an axe. I'm serious, not like an axe. Like the mining tools, like Minecraft. I never played Minecraft, but I'm not trying to make them. I swear to you, when I say this stupid stuff sometimes, I don't plan it. It just I say it and then it just pops in my head oh, this isn't looking good, and then I look at my reflection in the camera and I see I'm trying to mine, but it's not the Like here, like it'll look better if I have like a remote in my hand, right? Like I'm mining, like, you know, chopping away for diamonds, right? Because they're miners. Anyways, the picks UTEP -1.5. I don't. Yeah, we like the Texas El Paso Miners in this game. Guys, FIU has lost 3 in a row and they've looked horrible in these games. They just have. They won 1 game in the CUSA this season. They beat Western Kentucky, a team that's actually on my t-shirt here from when I went to March Madness last year in Indianapolis. Saw them lose to Marquette. And they were kind of competitive in that first half. They fell apart in the second. And honestly, again, the FIU victory against Western Kentucky, a good win, right? Western Kentucky's gone on the road and beat Liberty this season. The Flames have been so disappointing, by the way. They've been awful. Like, long gone are the days of Darius McGee. Liberty, oh man, it's been rough for them this season. But anyways, the FIU victory over Western Kentucky, great. The rest of CUSA play for them has been absolutely atrocious. Lost at home against Middle Tennessee, lost on the road at La Tech, lost on the road against Sam Houston, and then New Mexico State comes into their place and beats them. By the way, if I had to make an 11th best bet for today, it's New Mexico State to cover on the road at Liberty. I think they do. Liberty is ice cold right now. That would be my 11th best bet, but I decided again, I didn't like it as much as these, right? New Mexico State's not playing bad basketball. They beat the Lobos this season too. They're a sneaky team in the CUSA this season. That's all I'll say. Actually, no, they're not. They're literally the best team in the CUSA. Well, a sneaky team in the tournament, I should say, like to actually get out of the CUSA and, you know, maybe shock someone. They are underdog. They're 7.5-point dogs at Liberty. I should have made that. Actually, low-key, I should have made that one of the 10 best bets. But Liberty's not that bad. They're really not. New Mexico State really hasn't played anybody yet. We'll see. Okay, anyways, I'm taking UTEP in this game, though. Why? UTEP's 3-1 in the CUSA this season. They're playing a 1-4 FIU team. Sure, it's in Miami. I get that. But UTEP, again, beat La Tech, beat Sam Houston, did lose to New Mexico State by 20 points at home, but then went to Liberty and won as well. Guys, FIU, again, has played La Tech and Sam Houston, given, again, FIU had to go on the road to play both those games, and UTEP got both those games at home, but UTEP wins both those fairly easily, and FIU struggled mightily on the road against those squads. I do think the Miners are the better basketball team, led by Otis Frazier III, who averages 14 points a game, Corey Camper Jr. averaging 12, you get Devon Barnes, who's averaging 11, and Ahmad Bynum, who's averaging 10 points a game. For the Panthers, they are led by Jaden Brewer, who averages 14, you get Vinay Shakum, who averages 10, Jonathan Ibar and Asim Jones as well average 10 points a game. But I think the Miners are fine in the spot. The only reason FIU's favored in this basketball game is because the game's at FIU. Guys, I can't imagine the home court advantage is too special at 2 p.m. on a Saturday in Miami. Let's just be honest, guys. Is FIU pulling the biggest crowd for this game at the Ocean Bake Convocation Center? Don't know what that means, but are they? Probably not, let's be honest. I think UTEP's the better basketball team. They've shown so far this year they're the better basketball team, and they've been better in the CUSA, and I think they go on the road and beat FIU. So give me UTEP on the road in Miami against the Florida International Panthers. Let's move on to our next game, and we move to the Big Ten. We've got a huge game. The Purdue Boilermakers at noon go on the road to Eugene against the Oregon Ducks, and we are taking the underdogs. I like Trey Kaufman-Renn and Purdue to go on the road and beat Oregon. Oregon is due for a loss. They just are. They've been playing competitive after competitive after competitive basketball games. And hear me out, guys. They are so due for one because you look at their schedule coming up. They get Purdue tonight. They get UW, easy victory on Tuesday. Saturday at Minnesota, easy win. UCLA on the road next Thursday, January 30th. Should be a competitive game, but I think Oregon wins. This is the game they're going to lose. Guys, I can't see a world where Oregon is going into the Nebraska game on February 2nd, 9-2 in the Big Ten. I just don't think so. I think they'll go into that game 8-3 because I think Purdue gets them here. Guys, Oregon has just gotten by in their last 3 basketball games. And sure, we've profited off of one of those games. That was the game in Columbus against Ohio State. Again, I still don't think the Buckeyes are all that good. Hell, they just lost to IU. So Oregon, again, beats Maryland at home by 4 points. They go to Columbus, win the game. I think we had +1.5 in that game. I had the money line, but regardless, I think the line was +1.5. Yeah, or if it was -1.5, we covered anyway. It doesn't matter. Oregon wins the game by 2. They go to Penn State, and they win the game by 1 point. Again, Oregon has just gotten by in every game they've played recently. They've gotten great performances out of Jackson Shelstad, who's been, again, he averages 12.5 points a game, but he's really, put this team on his back in the last 3 games. 23 over Maryland, 24 in the victory over Ohio State, 17 in the victory over Penn State. And again, Nate Biddle is going to be involved as well. Hasn't had the biggest impact recently, but again, Jackson Shelstad has been really good for the Ducks. I feel like they've just been getting by though, and I really like the Boilermakers here. I've been raving about Purdue all season long. If we get the opportunity to take the Boilermakers, we take them. Again, I understand post-Edey era, but there's a reason that team was so successful. Sure, again, it was Zach Edey, but it was also the guys around him as well. So again, you bring back a guy like Braden Smith, who facilitates the offense. He scores 15 points a night, and he averages 9 assists per game as well. You get a guy like Fletcher Lawyer, and obviously the guy who's been not carrying, but the leader of this basketball team this season, Trey Kaufman-Renn, who averages 18 and 6 every single night. The guy's a hooper. Again, you're hard-pressed to pick against Purdue in a lot of spots in the Big Ten this season. They've only lost 1 game so far this year in conference, and it was a game all the way back in December at Penn State. I feel like Penn State screws us even if we pick them or pick against them. They're such a weird basketball team. But since then, Purdue has not lost in the Big Ten. Win at home against Maryland. They go to Minnesota, obviously, and win. They beat Northwestern. They go to Rutgers and win. They beat Nebraska. They beat UW on the road in Seattle. Sure, Purdue hasn't played an elite team yet in the Big Ten this season. That's fine. We'll get to that. I'm not too concerned about the Boilermakers. They will be, I feel like almost a lock to be one of the top 4 seeds. Not obviously 1, 2, 3, not one of the ones, but either a 1 through 4 seed this season, probably a 3 or a 4, I think. But anyways, Purdue could be Purdue's probably a 3. I think they're a 3. Anyways, I expect them to be there this season, and I expect them to continue to win in the Big Ten. I know, again, they've been on the West Coast or in the Pacific Northwest for quite a bit now, obviously. They were at Seattle on Wednesday against Washington. Now here they are against Oregon. That's fine. I think they beat the Ducks. Again, the Ducks have just gotten by, and they've gotten by against Ohio State, Penn State, Maryland. It's a whole other animal when you take on the Purdue Boilermakers. It just is. It's a whole nother game. Purdue's that much better than these other teams. So I think Purdue takes care of business. Again, Oregon can't make all those mistakes like they did in the Ohio State game, like they did in the Penn State game. They can't play like that and get away with it and beat the Boilermakers. That's just how Purdue is different. They are a team that's just built different than the rest of these teams in the Big Ten. Obviously, for the last couple of years, Purdue has dominated the Big Ten Conference, and they're going to continue to do that, and they're going to welcome Oregon into the Big Ten, and they're going to beat the Ducks. Biddle has not been playing his best basketball. Shelstad obviously has been performing real well for Oregon, but I think the Boilermakers are just the better basketball team. So give me Purdue on the road. We get a great opportunity here to take the Boilermakers up plus money, and that's exactly what we are going to do. Give me Purdue plus 2.5, plus 110. That line might, I think, shift to plus 1.5. ESPN still at 2.5, but I think it's probably gonna be 1.5, any minute now. I'm recording this at 2:30 in the morning. Oh wow, this video is going out now in 4.5 hours, so yeah, it's probably going out 7. Anyways, give me Purdue. Give me Purdue on the road, plus 1.5, plus 2.5, whatever. Just take the money line. Okay, that's the official prediction. All right, take Purdue with the money line on the road at Oregon. Okay, I believe this is now our 5th best bet. I think I've lost track. I think it's 5. It might be 6. No, it's definitely 5. I think. Small school basketball, right? This is the smallest school basketball game we're going to go over today, because I think there's value. All right, let's go to Newark, New Jersey here for the New Jersey Institute of Technology hosting the New Hampshire Wildcats. And I know what you're thinking. Why the hell are you talking about NJIT and New Hampshire? We've got all these big games today, and this is the small school game at the American East you choose. Well, yeah, it is, okay? The American East, not a juggernaut, let's just be honest. But I think it's a great spot here for New Hampshire, a team that has turned around their season down the stretch. And it's not like New Hampshire played all these crazy bye games this season. They really haven't. They crapped the bed against a lot of, just mid teams. Sure, they went to UConn and lost, but that's their only ranked team they've played all year. They played really 2 real bye games all year long. They went to Iowa and got, blasted, and they went to UConn and got killed as well. Their other games, well, they just lost to UMass, lose to Fairfield, lose to Brown, lose to Sacred Heart, lose to Holy Cross, lose to Marist, lose to Columbia, Fordham, Dartmouth, Harvard again. No, they haven't played Harvard. I got Harvard and Brown mixed up. Ivy Leagues, whatever. Stonehill, Vermont, UAlbany. Like, it's just not a great start. But, hey, New Hampshire's won back-to-back. And what have they done? They went on the road and won. They won at home. They beat Bennington. I can never say that school's name. Binghamton, I think. I don't know. It just sounds so British to me. It sounds so British is coming. The British are coming. I don't know. Paul Revere. Anyways, New Hampshire goes on the road and beats UMBC. A very good victory. And this New Hampshire Wildcats team, you got to know one guy on this team. It's Sammy Pieces. He's been great recently. He's a French point guard for this New Hampshire squad, and recently he has dominated. 17 in the victory over UMBC, 30 in the win over Binghamton, 17 in the loss to UAlbany, and also you get Anthony McComb III, who all around has been the best player for New Hampshire this season. He's still averaging 13.5 a game, and he gives you 10 plus every single night. So again, Pieces has been the guy who's shown up and again, broke out and put up a bunch of points. But Anthony McComb III is another very good player for the New Hampshire Wildcats, and he is going to score the rock effectively as well. New Hampshire, again, they went on a huge losing streak to start the year, but they're now 2-2 in conference play, and they have won back-to-back games. NJIT is absolutely horrible at basketball. They just are. Now, we've picked New Jersey games twice this season, and we've gotten them wrong both times. It's unbelievable, okay? We start the year, they're at home against Pennsylvania. We took Penn to cover on the road. I think it was like 3.5, if I'm not mistaken. Penn only wins the game by 1 point. And then we take the damn Navy to win. Navy loses to New Jersey Institute of Technology. And I remember I said before the video, I was like, this is a damn shame to America if Navy can't go on the road to NJIT. And they didn't. The Highlanders won. So 2 times this year we've picked against NJIT. It hasn't cashed. Guys, we're going to turn around right here, right now. All right? NJIT, 3 wins this season. Morehead State, Navy, and Medgar Evers? What school is this? What is Medgar Evers? All right, let's look this up. Let's take a quick intermission and look up what the hell Medgar Evers is. It's a guy. He was an American civil rights activist and soldier who was the NAACP's first field secretary, in Mississippi. He went to Alcorn State, so they just built a school after him. Okay, well, the more you learn, the more you know. Okay, I didn't know. Anyways, NJIT still sucks. They're still not good. They're not a good basketball team. Tariq Francis leads their team in points with 18 a night. Sebastian Robinson's been the leader of this team. Francis just came back. He came back and scored 11 points in the loss to Maine. Again, NJIT is better with Francis in the lineup. He scored 23. He haunts me with that victory over Navy earlier on in the season. Still though, NJIT is just not that great. Francis again was really good to start the year. He's just getting back in the swing of it. And again, that affects the basketball team, right? Because for the last 10 games, Sebastian Robinson's been their leading scorer, and Francis obviously now has to come back and try to adapt with this new lineup, obviously. And yes, Francis is still the number 1 option for NJIT, but now Sebastian Robinson goes back into being a real number 2 for the squad. And the Highlanders don't win basketball games. They are 0-3 this year in the American East. Losses to UMBC, UMass Lowell on the road, and then Maine. And they haven't really been competitive in any of those games. New Hampshire at least has won back-to-back going into this game, obviously. They were able to beat Bennington. I don't know how to say that school's name. And UMBC, right? They lost their first 2 in American East play, but it's what have you done recently? They've been able to score. Pieces has been really good, and I think we're gonna ride the wave of momentum here. Give me New Hampshire to go on the road to NJIT. Again, I can't imagine the home court advantage at the New Jersey Institute of Technology is all that rowdy. Give me the New Hampshire Wildcats on the road to take care of business here against the Highlanders of the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Plus 1.5, again, plus money. We're taking it. Give me the 4-win New Hampshire Wildcats. All right, to the Mountain West. I love Mountain West basketball. I watch Mountain West basketball all the time. It's what I have to do now because the Pac-12 don't exist no more. So I like the Mountain West now. It's great. I think New Mexico's the best team in the conference. Again, horrible performance the other night against San Jose State. It is what it is. Game winner by Latrell Davis. It is what it is. Colorado State, though, gets Wyoming in this basketball game. And I think this line's crazy. 3.5. Sign me up. Sign me up. And we can talk about how Colorado State was very disappointing non-conference this season, right? Their losses. Ole Miss, whatever. Washington, a game you like to have in hindsight. The disgusting losses against that disgusting university and in that disgusting city known as Riverside, California. That's bad. Whatever. I'm willing to look past that. They also lost to Colorado. They lost to VCU. Shout out VCU winning for us yesterday. The thing is, Colorado State's been much better in the Mountain West this season. They're 4-2, and their losses are New Mexico, probably the best team in the conference, and then San Diego State. Going to San Diego and winning is difficult. It just is. Colorado State, right, wins over Nevada on the road, at San Jose State on the road. Hell, some of the Lobos couldn't do the other night at the Provident Credit Union Arena. Beating Fresno State at home in Colorado, did the Rams, and then beating UNLV as well. Now they get to go on the road to Wyoming. I think, again, Colorado State has been fine on the road this season. They went to San Diego State and lost, but again, going to Laramie, Wyoming is nothing like going to San Diego and playing the Aztecs. It's not the same, right? We've seen Colorado State go up against these lower-level Mountain West squads, and I'm really looking at San Jose State. They go to San Jose, California, and win the game by 22 points. Who's to say they're not going to do the same exact thing to Wyoming? A Wyoming team that has struggled this year in Mountain West play, right? They are 2-4 this year in Mountain West play. They beat Nevada in their first game, and that's the only thing that, you can be optimistic about the Cowboys in this game is that, all right, they beat Nevada, but Nevada started off their Mountain West play this year so rough. So many things did not go the Wolfpack's way to start the year, and they've been better recently. But Wyoming gets them early in Mountain West play, but then they lose to Boise. They beat Air Force on the road in Colorado Springs, but hell, if Fresno proved anything yesterday with their first Mountain West victory, it's that Air Force is atrocious. So shout out the Bulldogs yesterday for cashing for us. I wasn't watching the game live because I was watching the New Mexico game, but I was tracking it on my phone. If it got close, I was gonna start watching. I was trying to watch the Lakers and our New Mexico game yesterday. And I kid you not, I was looking over the game on the Reel app, and man, Reel's got some crazy stuff going on. I literally saw a comment saying these boys from Fresno about to send these dudes back to the base. I was like, oh wow, that's brutal when you think about it. Anyways, Wyoming back-to-back losses though. At home against New Mexico, lose by 8. They go to Boise and they get shell shocked. Is that the right word? I don't know. They get slapped. They get slapped at Boise, 96-55. Wyoming's got their leading scorer, and that's going to be Obi Ajibim. Probably butchering that, but he's averaging 18 a night. Other than Obi, guys, this team's they don't really got anyone else. Kobe Newton, Jordan Nesbitt, these guys are all right, but again, it's all Obi. Obi averages 18 points a night, and if he's not entirely on, it's rough for Wyoming. He had a big non-conference, schedule. I mean, he was putting up 20 plus almost every night, it felt like. He hasn't been as hot so far this year to start Mountain West play. He hasn't scored more than 20 so far in Mountain West play, and that's been a big factor to Wyoming's record, obviously, in the Mountain West being 2-4. I just think Colorado State's the better team. I think them going on the road doesn't make that big of a difference. They're getting 3.5 points. I think they cover that fairly easily. Nick Clifford does everything for this basketball team, right? Averaging 17 points and 10 rebounds. He's that good for the Rams. Jalen Lake averages 13 as well. Again, Colorado State, not the most flashy team, not the most high-scoring team, but ultimately, I just feel like they're better than the Wyoming Cowboys. So that's why we're picking Colorado State in this game. I think they're the better basketball team, and I think they go on the road and take care of business in Laramie. Just don't think Wyoming's all that great. I don't know why they're getting this much respect, probably because of that Nevada victory, but I think Colorado State's a lot better than Nevada. I just think they are. Preseason, maybe we would think the Wolfpack were better, but I've seen Colorado State play, and sure, again, after their disgusting non-conference schedule, you think maybe they're not as good as Nevada, but I saw Colorado go to Reno and win, and they've been much better recently as well. Give me the Colorado State Rams to go to Wyoming, go to Laramie, Wyoming, and cover the 3.5 points and win the game outright, obviously, as well. Let's go on to our next game here. We go to the Battle of Mississippi. Mississippi State at home against the Ole Miss Rebels, in Starkville, Mississippi. Another one of those spots, guys. Don't care who wins. I just don't. I'll watch the game. I will. But I ultimately don't care who wins the game. I think if you had to press me on a pick, it will be Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State will likely win this game. But we've got Ole Miss to cover on the road. I think it is crazy that Ole Miss is getting 6.5 points in this basketball game. I think it is. Guys, this is one of 2 undefeated teams in the SEC this season. It is them, and it is the best team in college basketball in the Auburn Tigers. It is time Ole Miss starts getting the respect. They've got 2 losses all year long. Purdue, all right, that's a tough team to beat. That's a tough team to beat. And then Memphis on the road. All right, again, Memphis hasn't been great, but it is what it is. So far in SEC play, 4-0 wins over Georgia, Arkansas, LSU, and Alabama in their last game. A huge victory for the Ole Miss Rebels going on the road to Tuscaloosa and win the game by 10 points. That's big time for Ole Miss. Again, they're a team that is going to continue to be ranked higher and higher as the season goes on. And how about Malik Dia? A guy who, again, is a player for this Ole Miss team who averages 9.5 points per game, but what has he done in the last 3? 21 in the victory on the road in Fayetteville against Arkansas, 19 in the victory against LSU, and 23 in the victory over Alabama. He has seen increased minutes, and Malik has been dominant for the Ole Miss Rebels. I'm not saying they're going to outright win the game against Mississippi State, but I definitely think they cover. I think this game's a lot closer, at least, than the odds indicate. Guys, Mississippi State is coming off back-to-back losses. Again, I get it. It's against the 6th best team in the country in the Kentucky Wildcats and the number 1 team in the country against Auburn. But they lost both those games. Their wins in SEC play are South Carolina at home. Guys, South Carolina and Colin Murray Boyles have just not been that good this season. And they go on the road to Vandy and win. I'll give them that. If you want to look at common opponents, okay, the Bulldogs went to Memphis and won, and Ole Miss did not. Don't care. What have you done recently? Mississippi State coming off back-to-back losses. Got to regroup after getting slapped at Auburn without John Ibram. Again, I'm not saying they're going to lose the game. I just think Ole Miss keeps it close. And again, Malik Dia has been phenomenal recently for this basketball team. The leading scorer for the Rebels is still Sean Padulo, who's averaging 14 points a game, but Dia has been that good recently, and I do think Ole Miss is able to go out here and keep this game close. I'm not saying they win it. It's one of these spots, again, where ultimately I just don't care who wins. I just need Ole Miss to cover the 6.5 points, and I think they do it again. This is a team that's been undefeated in SEC play this year. You're telling me they're going to go on the road and get blown out by Mississippi State? This is a rivalry game. The 2 schools, obviously, the 2 best schools in Mississippi. I mean, hell, there's Mississippi Valley State still. Shout out the Delta Devils. But the 2 best teams in Mississippi, you're telling me Ole Miss isn't going to come to play in this basketball game? Damn right they're going to come out to play, and they're going to make this a competitive basketball game. Guys, Dia, 23-19. On the road at Alabama. This team has shown capability of winning on the road before. Hell, they did it on Tuesday. You're telling me they're not going to go in-state and remain competitive with Mississippi State, with the Bulldogs, with the team who's got their sophomore and Josh Hubbard, who is going through a complete slump. They need Hubbard to perform, and he honestly just hasn't done it this season. Sure, he's averaging 17 points. Hell, we talked about he had 17 in the game against Auburn. He shot 16% from the field and put up 11 free throws. So obviously that's how he's going to get his 17 points. He only actually made 3 field goals the entire basketball game. If Hubbard can get it going from beyond the arc, yeah, he's scary. That's what he was last year towards the end of the season. I mean, watching Josh Hubbard down the stretch and going into the SEC tournament was big time for the Bulldogs last year. But he just hasn't shown that same spark for this Mississippi State team recently, and I think Ole Miss is able to capitalize. So give me the Rebels. Again, rivalry game in the state of Mississippi. I like Ole Miss to go on the road to Mississippi State and keep the game close. Plus 6.5. I guess Mississippi State wins, but I don't know. I wouldn't take that minus 260 to the bank anywhere. Don't do that. Take plus 6.5 Ole Miss. Who wins the game? Don't know. Don't care. Just need Ole Miss to cover. So give me the Rebels on the road at Mississippi State plus 6.5. Let's move on to our next game as we go to the Big West. I believe we only got 2 more games left. I think we got 2 more. Where's it 3? No, I think it's 2. Yeah. We've got Cal Poly going on the road to take on the UC Irvine Anteaters. Now, guys, sometimes miracles happen, right? Sometimes they happen. DePaul yesterday, finally winning a game in the Big East. Minnesota a couple days ago, Dawson Garcia game winner, finally winning a game this season in the Big Ten. Cal Poly, guys, has not won a game in the Big West since 2022. It was their first game of Big West play in 2022 where they beat Cal State Northridge, who mightily screwed us a couple of days ago against Hawaii. But don't worry, we're going to get our get back on Hawaii. Just wait. That's coming up. This team has not won a game in in Big West play since the CSUN victory at home in 2022. Cal Poly will break the record for most consecutive Big West losses if they don't go to the best team in the Big West, UC Irvine, and win. They're not gonna do it, and in fact, they're getting blown out. Guys, this is the comp we can make, okay? Cal Poly got Irvine earlier this year at home. They played their damn hearts out. Cal Poly put everything into trying to win that game. They were on 10 days rest, more, going into that Irvine game to start 2025, and Irvine outlasts them and beats them in overtime by 9 points. Now you gotta go to Irvine to play the game. No more St. Louis Obispo bullcrap. Come on down to Irvine, California. Like that's some scary proposition, like the city of Irvine. But, playing the Anteaters, though, that's a scary proposition. What has Cal Poly done since the loss to Irvine to start 2025? They have fallen off a damn cliff. They just have. And we can talk about their start to their season. I thought it was very impressive. But anyways, Cal Poly loses to Hawaii, loses 95-60 on the road against UC San Diego, lose to Santa Barbara at home by 3 points. They let Davis come into town and beat them by 11 as well. That was a game that I looked at. I was like, all right, why is Davis underdogs on the road at Cal Poly? Like, just why? I didn't make it one of the best bets, but I remember I said it in that video. I was like, I don't like that for Cal Poly at all. I'd take Davis if I had to bet that game. Guys, I keep trying to tell you about UCI. We had the big showdown a week ago today. UCI versus UC San Diego, and what happened? UCI went on the road and took care of UC San Diego. Now, both these teams, regardless of what happens in the Big West tournament, I believe they should both make it to the NCAA tournament, especially if it's Irvine not winning the Big West tournament. But regardless, I'd really like to see the Big West get 2 bids this season. But again, guys, there's levels. We just saw UCI go to UC San Diego and win. They're the better basketball team. That's how good the Anteaters are. Guys, Lupton, this guy's a beast. Ben Lupton plays 25 minutes a night. He played a little bit more in the UCSD game, but my goodness, that man gets it done. And he bullies bigs in the Big West. He just does. Averaging 16-9. That's how good that guy is. Justin Hahn, a very good basketball player as well, averages 12 points a night. How about Miles Che, who averages 11 as well? I mean, UCI is a well-oiled machine. I believe Devin Tillis is still out, if I'm not mistaken. He did not play the game against Cal State Fullerton, where UCI still won by 20. I don't think they covered. They were 21.5 point favorites in that game. They win by 20, though. I don't think Tillis played that, or I don't think Tillis will be back for this game against Cal Poly. It's fine. UCI is that good. Guys, this team plays stifling defense. I think that was the right word. I'm still in school. This team, hell, I might be at UC Irvine in a couple of years. I might. Yeah, a year from now, I might be telling you, oh, yep, showing up to Irvine in a little bit. Anyways, this team shuts you down. They just do. They play that good a defense. I saw UC San Diego play their worst offensive performance all year long just because they were playing UCI. Sure, their shots weren't hitting, but they couldn't get anything going in the paint because Lupton was there. So UC San Diego was stuck, crap, we just got to pull up and take way deep threes and hope we get lucky. And that's the presence Lupton has. And as soon as he goes off the court, then yes, UCSD tried to attack the rim. Sure, it was a little bit successful, but obviously wasn't that successful because UCSD scored 52 points in that game and lost by 8. Bent Lupton, again, 23-13. The guy's a monster. So hear me out, guys. Cal Poly's trying to play this game to not be on the wrong side of history. They're going to get shut down. Again, you had the fun and games January 2nd at St. Louis Obispo. You take them to overtime, you lose by 9. Playtime's over. Because UCI is completely locked in now. They just beat UCSD. They go to Northridge. They win that game by 10 earlier in the year. They beat that absolute shithole that is UC Riverside, 81-57. And they just beat Cal State Fullerton by 20 points. What are they going to do to Cal Poly? Again, Cal Poly beginning of the season, very impressive. Not going to lie. I was impressed with Cal Poly early in the year. They were competitive against USF to start the year. They were competitive. They beat Seattle University, who beat Washington this year. They went to Eastern Washington and won. They were competitive against Arizona State in Tempe. I was really confused about Cal Poly. But then, they started to spiral as soon as they hit Big West play. This team went to Davis earlier in the year and lost by 11 points. I mean, they don't play well on the road, and UCI should eat them alive. So give me the Anteaters to eat up. That's bad. To eat alive the Cal Poly Mustangs. Minus 2,000 on the money line, or whatever. I mean, sure, do that if you want, but minus 15.5 is the play here. Give me UCI, the late night game in the Big West, but not the late night game, because welcome to some Hawaii basketball. As we have the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors at 8:59 p.m. UFC will still be on at this point, but if you need something to watch after Islam Makhachev likely finishes Renato Moicano in the first round, this game will still be on ESPN+. I think it's on ESPN+. Yep. We've got the Cal State Bakersfield Roadrunners taking on the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. I like Cal State Bakersfield to cover this. I do. Again, who wins the basketball game? Don't care. Do not care. Probably Hawaii. Let's just be honest. Hawaii probably gets it done. But if they played like they did against CSUN, they're not going to win. I think CSUN kind of exploited Hawaii. I'll just be honest with you. They played hard defense. They swarmed whoever had the basketball in that game. And CSUN pulled up and was just shooting lights out. Now, can Cal State Bakersfield shoot the ball like CSUN can? Potentially. Jamel Jones, Marvin McGee. These guys can shoot. CJ Hardy. These guys can shoot the basketball. And honestly, again, I think they can implement the same exact game plan that CSUN did. Again, play aggressive defense, attack the ball, and work the ball around the perimeter, force Hawaii to guard you out there, shoot, if not, drive and kick. I mean, it's simple. We're not trying to reinvent the game of basketball like Jack McKinney in 1980, but that's how you win. That's how you beat Hawaii. I've never seen Hawaii look so bad than when they did against CSUN the other day. We picked Hawaii in that basketball game, full transparency. We were, I think, 3-2 or 2-3. I think that was a bad day. It was 2-3. It was just 2 days ago. That was Thursday. Full transparency. That was bad for us, sure. But Cal State Bakersfield, guys, their last victory. Oh, who is it? It's CSUN. Put up 94 points against CSUN. If you score that many points against Hawaii, they're not going to be able to keep up. And, who had a career high in that game? Jamel Jones, 45 points. 45 points against Cal State Northridge at home for Cal State Bakersfield. For, again, Jamel Jones. That's impressive. That's impressive. Jamel Jones, again, 28 minutes, 45 points. What the hell? 6 for 11 from beyond the arc. And that's ultimately how Cal State Bakersfield is going to beat Hawaii. Games like that and shooting performances like that. They have to attack the three-point line. They have to, again, and ultimately they beat CSUN because CSUN went 4 for 16 from the three-point line that game. But again, that's how Bakersfield's going to beat Hawaii. I'm not saying they're going to beat them. I'm just saying they're going to cover the points. 7.5 just feels like too many. Just feels like too much this game. I really don't like Hawaii all that much anymore. I watched them play and I'm just not impressed. Tanner Christensen did not impress me at all. He was fouling every single chance he got. Tom Beatty's a spark. He is, but I don't know. I'm not impressed. I'm really not impressed. Gytis, the Lithuanian forward for Hawaii, not impressed at all when I watched him against CSUN. I was when I saw them play Poly earlier in the year, but he scored 8 points in 25 minutes. It's just Hawaii looked demoralized. They didn't come out to play that game, and ultimately, I don't think they really come out to play against Cal State Bakersfield as well. Again, guys, the blueprint on how to beat Hawaii is kind of out there now, I think. Again, I don't know how closely Bakersfield's studying that game that Hawaii played against CSUN, but I truly think it is a pathway, an easy pathway to beat Hawaii. I think the line should be 3.5. 7.5 just feels like too many points. Again, I don't care if Bakersfield wins the game. That's not part of the prediction. I think Hawaii probably wins a close one, but who knows? Maybe Bakersfield can come in here and beat them. I just think 7.5 points is too much. Again, I'm talking about this game like it should be a pick'em, right? I'm talking about this game like in a way that it is a pick'em. It's, again, 7.5. I think it should probably be 3.5, but that's fine. I think Cal State Bakersfield, I like the Roadrunners. We got a big night out of Jamel Jones. I think he stays hot. Go to Hawaii, go put up another 40 points, just saying. But again, what Jamel Jones did against CSUN is what the entire team for Cal State Bakersfield needs to do against Hawaii. And I think ultimately these guys will rise to the occasion. And I think they're going to shoot the hell out the ball here. I think they're going to shoot lights out. I think they're going to attack you know, whoever has the ball in Hawaii, I think they'll send doubles, and I think they'll win the basketball game. If Cal State Bakersfield plays an aggressive style of game, they're going to beat Hawaii. That's how you beat the Rainbow Warriors, and I think they're going to do that. Again, I don't know if they win, but I think they'll definitely cover the 7.5 points and keep this game close and make it competitive deep into the second half. So give me the Cal State Bakersfield Roadrunners to cover the plus 7.5 points on the road against the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. And folks, that will do it for our 10 best bets for college basketball here on January 18th. Again, thank y'all for 100 likes yesterday on the video. We're going to keep doing this every single Friday leading into our college basketball bets today for Saturday, every single week. Again, this video is out earlier. It's out at 7 a.m. this week, so again, you have more time to watch this video prior to the 9 a.m. games, with games like Bama, Kentucky, with games like Auburn and Georgia. So I'll continue to put out the weekend videos this early in the morning. And if you do want to see, again, if you got this late in the video, if you want to see the weekday games or best bet videos going up at 7 a.m. too, I can put them out at 7 a.m. Hell, again, I make these at 2:52 in the morning. So, like, again, it doesn't really matter to me when they go out. So, anyways, folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to join us for NBA predictions coming out in about 3 hours here on the channel. Thank y'all for watching, folks, and Mamba forever.